If Menace was an animal, it would definitely be this. This is Capitosoma floridinum, and it's a parasitic wasp that lays 2 eggs in a non-consenting caterpillar. 1 egg is male, the other's female. And these eggs clone themselves through the process of polyebriony, with the endgame being up to 3,000 brothers and sisters. Also, the caterpillar is alive for all this. Here's where it gets kill all men. The brothers will actually fertilize the sisters. The thing is, it only really takes 1 or 2 of the brothers to fertilize all the females. All the other males are just seen as extra bodies and unnecessary competition. Which is why in this really questionable family, there's a small group of sisters that are bigger, meaner, have a large pair of jaws, and the full intent to use them. Basically, these sister soldiers go around destroying and eating as many of the weaker little brothers as possible with very little discrimination. Like, they instinctively seek anything male out and slaughter them. Since these sisters have no reproductive organs, their only purpose in life is to do everything in their power to make sure the brothers don't have one. And since the less brothers means the less competition for the females that can actually reproduce, the assassin sisters just go around murking anything male on sight. There's only so much caterpillar to go around. If Kill All Men had a mascot, this wasp been on timing. I actually made a full video on this kind of thing. It's gonna be right there if you want to check that out. Did you know kangaroos have been known to ask humans for help? Research has shown that kangaroos are smart enough to try and communicate with people to get them to do them a favor. Basically, there was an experiment where a kangaroo was given a clear plastic container that it could see had food inside. After the kangaroos would try and fail to open the boxes, they would then go to the human that put it there and kind of just nudge at them and even scratch them lightly. Kind of like a toddler trying to get his mom's attention. Also, they would do this while making eye contact with the human and also looking down at the container, kind of like, ain't gonna open itself. And the kangaroos wouldn't stop doing it until the person eventually opened the box for them. It might not seem like much, but we used to think this would only happen with animals that were domesticated, like dogs, goats, and horses. But in this experiment, 10 out of the 11 roos would stare at the person that put the box there when they realized they couldn't open it themselves. Nothing was wrong with the 11th, he was probably just an idiot. But yeah, kangaroos are pretty cool, when they're not trying to reverse baptize you. Why this island might be one of the most terrifying places on Earth. It's cause of this guy. They can grow to 10 feet long, weigh 150 pounds. They're a lot faster than you think. Like, real talk, this video's not sped up. This is real life. If a Komodo dragon bites you and you somehow get away, because they live on an island and because they're basically a leather bloodhound, there's no point on the island you can go where they can't and won't eventually track you down. And even though it's not true that they'll purposely let their prey get away, a Komodo will spend days stalking you to finish you off. Oh, and the more you bleed around the island, the more Komodos suddenly want a moment of your time. Now, we used to think their victims got bodied by a bacterial infection, but the truth is the Komodo is one of the few venomous lizards on the planet. If you get flatlined by bacteria, that's just a bonus. But they're armed with venom that can drop your blood pressure, cause muscle paralysis, shock, and even loss of consciousness. Basically, everything you wouldn't want to happen if there was a mini Godzilla tailgating you. And of course, an animal that does all that isn't gonna wait till you're past tense to start eating you. Once you're too weak to resist, they'll use their 60 steak knives for teeth to rip you apart while you're still alive. Almost forgot, fun fact. Komodos have been known to develop a taste for humans by digging out shallow graves and eating the corpses inside. They're such a menace that the only reason baby Komodos climb trees is to avoid getting cannibalized by the adults. It's like the entire island was a punishment from God or a gift from the devil. Which actually tracks because a lot of people that live on Komodo Island were descendants from convicts that were exiled there. Also, there was a brief but very real point where people were encouraged to take selfies with this homicide gecko. You can probably guess how that movie ended. Bad for tourism, but great for population control. Oh, and one last thing. Women on their period aren't allowed in a national park because Komodos can smell blood from nearly 6 miles away. Which means a period can end more than just a sentence. The more you know. What the f? This might be the ugliest cute thing I've ever seen. This is an eye. Scientists were so confused by it that for 100 years they thought it was just some kind of coked out squirrel. But it's actually a type of primate found in Madagascar. It honestly looks like God had leftovers and made casserole. It has the ears of a bat, the mouthpiece of a beaver, the body of a monkey, and a long bony middle finger that, trust me, I'm gonna get back to in a second. It uses those ears to find insects and bugs hiding in rotten pieces of wood. Then it uses that overbite to drill holes into the wood. Then it scoops it all out with that middle finger that can be up to 3 times longer than all the others. This rehab chipmunk freaked locals out so much that it was believed if an eye stuck that middle finger out at you, you were destined to be on a t-shirt by the end of the week. But they're actually incredibly shy introverts that are only active at night, so you might just have something in common with them. Also, they're endangered, but some were raised in a lemur center in North Carolina to help them out. And in my 24 trips around the sun, I have never been more conflicted about an animal. It looks like a gremlin that either wants the souls of my loved one or a precious ring. At the same time, I want to protect them with every fiber of my being. Also, you've definitely seen one before and didn't even realize it. Mans Maurice was actually an eye, but since DreamWorks couldn't have him flipping everyone off, they didn't give him the middle finger. If I ever made a video on the most toxic animal relationships, this would be a Hall of Fame choice. This is an anglerfish. Same one that nearly made Nemo an orphan. Male anglerfish are about 40 times smaller than the female. That's like a 5'8" girl cuffing a dude less than 2 inches tall. When a male does find a female, he'll bite her and then cling to her for life. Her jaws and face will actually fuse into her skin. His body degenerates and his internal organs will even disappear. The male never needs to eat because he just steals all the nutrients straight from the female's body after his blood vessels eventually fuse with hers. This is after the first date. Eventually, the guy anglerfish just becomes a lump on the female's body whose only purpose in life is to fertilize her eggs. He basically turns into a genital wart. But the worst part of it all, he's not the only one she has. Some female anglerfish can have multiple male lumps that used to be fish permanently stuck to her. He basically sells his soul to be an STD, and the baby she pops out still might not even be his. And it's so weird that for a long time, scientists just thought those lumps were extra fins. Turned out it was a he herpy that got way too attached on the first link. Basically, imagine going on a blind date. And before you can even find out his favorite color, he just fuses with you. Like on some up Steven Universe timing. And then he just stays there. Forever. Literally the only thing that ends the relationship is you flatlining. And now you see why she wanted to put Nemo in the system.